Hi, my name is Arn, founder of Alchemy Blade Works, and right now what I want to do is take you through our process for sharpening knives, or rather, I'm not going to show you how to sharpen the knives today. What I want to do is talk to you about the different tools that we use, why we use them, and help you make an informed decision. In future videos, what we'll be doing is breaking down each of these tools and walking through the steps and process that we go through to make our knives sharp as hell. And that is exactly what you should want in your own kitchen, your bag, your field bag, dress kit, everything is a knife that's sharp as hell, because when it comes time to cut, we want it to be effortless, we want it to be precise, and that's what we're all about today. So starting off, and what I'll show you first is from kind of the simplest tool to dare I say the most complex. But the most complex doesn't necessarily mean that it's the worst or that it's hard or challenging. There's just more stuff going on, right? But that could actually lead to a very good thing, which is more options for you and ability to fine tune the edge of your knife. Another topic for a future video. So to start off, when we're looking at sharpening knives, there's a couple of things that we're looking for. Number one, what sharpening actually is removing material from the edge of the knife, right? So we're removing material from the edge and we're creating a burr. So as we remove material from one side, it pushes that material over to the other side. It creates kind of a little roll. When we go back to the other side and we sharpen that side, what we do is we remove that burr and we create a little roll going back the other way. Now, when we're sharpening knives, we don't just use a very coarse grit and let that be it. That creates the burr. Our goal with sharpening knives is to make that burr smaller and smaller by reducing the grits or increasing the grit number, so making it a finer and finer grit or smoother grit, until at the very end, we're left with virtually no burr at all. All we have is polished steel, the sharp as hell, right? So we've got some different techniques that we use for that. Some of the simplest, and they're not my highest recommendation, but I'm going to show them first. Some of the simplest are little fixed edge tools. And I'm going to hold it upside down like this because truly there's only one side of this that I would want you to use if you used it at all. Now, first of all, you might have noticed I said fixed edge tools. A lot of the knives that we make here at Alchemy Blade Works leave our shop with a 20-degree angle on them. Chef knives, field knives, etc. A lot of the cutting properties of those blades are produced not only by the edge angle, but also by the thickness of the blade itself. And so some people are going to say, hey, 20 degrees, man, that's way too obtuse for a chef's knife. However, we make chef's knives that are incredibly thin, and when you put that that 20-degree angle on here versus a 14-degree angle, it slices like nobody's business, and yet it holds that edge for a little bit longer period of time. So it's less likely to ding as we're going over forks and stuff like that. Now, not every blade is going to be happy with that, and so that's why I said at the beginning, understanding a little bit about each of these tools and perhaps choosing one of the more complex options is going to allow you to fine tune that edge as you learn more about its processes, and then also about your knives. So that's part of my purpose here, is to help instruct. So with this tool, it is at a fixed edge of 20 degrees. You can get different ones, but that's pretty common, all right? You have two sides. One side is ceramic stones. The other side is carbide blades, okay? So these are metal. These are ceramic. These are for polishing. These are for cutting. So generally speaking, these kinds of tools are, in my opinion, intended to be used for less expensive knives. That doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that we've got a knife that has softer steel. When you're using this blade, it's actually reshaping that edge. Now, here's the reality of it though. Unfortunately, when it reshapes that edge, it leaves little cuts and nicks and jagged parts in it. This is not recommended, all right? And I'm just gonna leave it at that. This side will help polish, all right? And so this side in a pinch can help. And I think it's good because it's actually gonna polish the edge. It's a fine abrasive. But this side, again, is gonna leave nicks and chips. I don't recommend this very highly. I do keep these around. We keep one in the kitchen for just quick touch-ups right here. For people that are in the kitchen, i.e. our kiddos, that may not be comfortable with a sharpening steel or a hone, all right? So this is a sharpening steel. Basically performs the same function as these porcelain or ceramic sticks on the inside, except we have the option now of choosing any angle we want, and we have to be able to set that angle, right? Now, it is really funny, you know, the concept iron sharpens iron. This is where it comes from. So we've got steel, which component of that is iron, and we've got a knife blade. And essentially, you've got different options. You can either move that blade away from you, or you can move it towards you. Understanding how it works, safety, all of that stuff, always paramount with this, right? Very important to have a nice, robust handle. You'd never hold it over the handle. And we want to make sure that we're mimicking the angles of the blade. This is a wonderful tool. This is what chefs use every single day. There are different types. This one we purchased. I swear it cost as much as some of our early knives did. But it is a very hard steel intended for Japanese and German knives. All right. So they traditionally have high Rockwell hardness steel in them. A lot of the steels that come with some of the butcher block kits that maybe you get the full kit of knives and steak knives and a steel like that for a couple of $100, that steel is often a lot softer. And so you're not going to get the same results. And if you have a high quality, very hard, high hardness steel in your knife, it's not going to sharpen very well with those other ones. Okay. So those are two great options. Another option that I'll use sometimes in the field, or did early on, I actually don't use this very much anymore, but this is a product from Worksharp. And I've got another product I'm going to show you in just a second from Worksharp. But this is kind of like your traditional honing stone set, except they're using diamond stones. It's got some cool features to it. Inside of it, if I can remember how to take it apart. Oh yeah, inside of it, it's actually got a broadhead wrench, right? So it's got some real practical use to it. You've got a ceramic here that this can rotate, and you've got different edges so you can sharpen hooks and all sorts of stuff. So this is really a great thing for the outdoorsman or outdoors person in your life. It's easy to put in a backpack. It fits in. As I was starting to pack for hunting trips and I'm putting this into my processing kit, I'm like, whoa, okay. You know, that's like my processing kit is like this long and this is that long. I'm like, this is a little overkill. And especially considering that I typically don't sharpen my knives during the process of processing big game. If anything, I'm just simply honing it. And I've got some techniques there that I'll share with you of honing in the field to maintain your edge while you're processing animals. But what I found is that with the knives, as they leave my house and travel with me into the field, I don't need these tools. So I generally don't take one. Sometimes I might throw something like this, similar, into the bag just because it's so light and small. All right, I do have, another thing I like about the Worksharp, I will say, is that there is also a leather honing strip on the back. I added some diamond dust polishing rouge to that so that you could polish up the edge. So that takes me to the final step of any of these other techniques that I'm going to talk about here in just a second, and that is my leather strop. So took just a piece of leather, glued it to a piece of wood, and then over the top, polishing compound. Obviously, I can't mimic it, but I can kind of show you what it looks like right now. Once the edge is set, sometimes all we have to do is strop that edge. If you've ever been to a barber and had a barber do a dry razor for you, you'll notice before they take their strop, and what they're doing is they're polishing that edge. There's an abrasive in this compound, so it actually acts like really, really fine sandpaper, right? And as you do this, it's polishing that edge so that it is razor sharp. So we'll come back to that in a second, but I want to go to my first tool, again, back to the Worksharp, and I'm going to include links down below, so if you guys want to look at these and read about them, you're more than welcome to. This was the first kind of sharpening system that I purchased, and the reason that I purchased it was because it is compact, it's easy to store, everything is here, I don't have additional things to remember or lose. You've got 3 different abrasive grits on the version that I got, and they just rotate through on this little triangular bezel, and then your blade goes in here. It kind of self-centers. You have a really simple adjustment that's indexed, so you can adjust your angle anywhere from, they've got it at 15 degrees to 30 degrees, all right? And so this is a great system. And honestly, it served us very well until the volume of knives that we were sharpening made me think it wasn't going to work. It also does stop at that 15 degree mark and the 30 degree mark. And so there are knives that we sharpen at 14 degrees. There are some knives that when we are resharpening, we worked all the way down to a 90-degree angle. And so that's a very acute angle, obviously, but there are times when it's warranted based on the blade and the dimensions, etc. So this is a great little system. For the typical person, this is dynamite, all right? Super easy to use, very user-friendly. I will go through it with you in a video down the road, show you how I use it, show you how you can use it, talk about some of the drawbacks, some of the things that you can do to optimize it, and we'll go from there. The second system builds on that one, like you probably have, especially if you're watching this. Now you've been tagged that you love sharpening knives or are interested. So you're probably going to start getting ads on Instagram and Facebook, YouTube, about a knife sharpener that looks very much like this. The actual one that is advertised a lot has a name that rhymes with Abi, and it is the hot green stuff that you put on your sushi at the sushi restaurant, all right? This is not that one. I was doing some research and I was just about to buy it. It had gone on sale and I was like, man, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And so I was getting ready to go and I'm like, I better check Amazon. And then I was like, and I'm curious because these other ones look really similar. And as I did some research, what I found is that that brand, that model, that the sale price was 3 times more than I paid for this, was the exact same thing. And when I say the exact same thing, I'm not saying it looked the same, it has the same name written on the side. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this one. That's a third the price. And then I'm also gonna buy a set of diamond stones. And hands down, best choice I made there. Super happy with the product. It does a wonderful job. You have an infinite number of, or ability to adjust angles on this. So that's really exciting. You can literally adjust it to any angle that you want to set your knife at. I have sharpened steak knives in this that have blades that are around 1/2 inch in thickness, you know, so we're looking like depth of the blade, about 1/2 inch, all the way up to a 4-inch thick meat cleaver, American style cleaver. Clamp that thing down in here, it creates a wonderful edge. This is still the tool that I use for most of our knives that are going out to our customers to set the initial bevel because it does such a nice job. I can put in the coarse diamond stone and it allows me to get a really uniform edge, have a lot of control on it, and get everything so that it's nice and smooth and ready for further honing at the next step. So this is a dynamite tool. Again, I'm gonna go through kind of set up, how we orient it, how we use it down the road. I'm looking at adding another system to my arsenal here soon. Very similar to this one, but a little more robust, and I will share that with you when we get there. The last one I wanted to share with you is the Wicked Edge. And I love it. I mean, the Wicked Edge is absolutely awesome. One of the things that I didn't like about the previous system that I showed you is that I was only using one hand. Now, could I have used my left hand, my opposite hand? Absolutely. But like you probably, I'm more dominant with one hand. And so I noticed as I was using my left, I didn't have as much control. I was not able to go as fast with control. It didn't feel safe and I didn't feel like I did as good of a job. So I'm just going with one hand. And you know, I mean, shoot, I'm thinking of this doing hundreds of knives, right? Tendinitis, things like that. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I want both hands to be able to be used. So rather than go with the fully mechanized system where I'm using machines, I thought I'd give the Wicked Edge a try. The cool thing about this is that you have 2 arms, so one going on both sides. The blade sits vertically like this, so the edge is up, and you're working away from your body with these diamond stones to sharpen, shape, and hone the edge. Now, one thing this doesn't do a good job of, and they even say it in the manual, it does not do a great job of shaping the edge. So if you've got a lot of edge work, there are better systems like the one that I just showed you, or like what I typically use to set the initial edge, which is my 2x72 belt sander, all right, belt grinder. But once that edge is set, Wicked Edge is absolutely wicked, right? It is sinister. It's fun. You get in a rhythm. It's very, dare I say, therapeutic. I do really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And it leaves just a wonderful, beautiful edge. The sharpening tools on it are diamond stones. I have right now up to, it's a 2200. So each one typically comes with 2 different grits. You can go all the way up. I believe there's another step up that goes to 4,000 grit. And then there are also microfilms, there are honing films, and there is even a set that you can get that has leather on it, and you add some polishing compound to it. So it's a wonderful, wonderful system. Again, typically, or always actually on all of these, once we're done setting the edge and going through to our highest grit, again, we'll go to 2200 on the Wicked Edge. On the Ruixin Pro, we'll go up to a 3000 grit diamond stone on that. And then I believe on my Worksharp, it actually is just a ceramic polishing stone is the highest grit on that. I don't know what the polishing compound or level is on that. I think it's probably 1000 grit. But no matter which one I'm using, when I'm done, we go to the strop, and I use the strop to finalize that edge, to pull the burr off, polish everything down, take out all the scratches, making it sharp as hell. So there you go, my friends. Those are my favorite tools to use. And I'm going to be breaking those down again in future videos. So if you enjoyed this, if you have questions, please leave comments down below. One other product that we do often keep at the sharpening bench is just camellia oil. Again, Amazon, great source for that. I'm going to leave links to all of these things down below as well. I would encourage you to follow us at alchemy_blades on Instagram. If you want to check out what we're doing with our custom knives, if you want to find more about how to sharpen and how to utilize tools as we add more to the blog, you can find us at alchemybladeworks.com. That's www.alchemybladeworks.com. And outside of that, go make memories, have fun. Thanks for joining in today. Again, questions, post them down below. Appreciate your time. Have a wonderful night.